So unfair. I would take that in a heartbeat.
Oh man. Now, before we dive in, just a quick reminder. This video is for informational and entertainment purposes only, and should not be considered financial advice. Our full disclaimer is shown here and on our website. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of us reacting to finance TikToks. So today we're going to be talking about mainly the job market, how do you actually get your foot in the door? Do you have the right resume, cover letter? Hey, all these things are very important in today's job market, and today we're going to be showing you a few tips and tricks to hopefully get your foot in the door. Also, we're going to talk about, basic lifestyle things that hopefully will be useful to you as you continue to progress throughout your career, throughout your journey. So, let's dive right into some videos right now from these great creators. So this very first video is from a creator called Call to Lead, and he's actually going to talk to you about what are the, not the income requirements, but really what income do you need to actually live in high cost of living areas.
How much money do you need to make to live comfortably in the United States? And this is according to a 2024 Smart Asset Survey. The fifth most expensive state is Washington, needing a $106,000 salary. The fourth is New York, and people say they need at least $112,000. The third is California, which is the state that I live in, and people say they need at least $114,000. Second is Hawaii with another $114,000. And the number one spot is Massachusetts, $116,000. Remember, this is just a survey, and you have more power over your money than you think. Live humbly, invest your money, because someone's average doesn't have to be your normal.
So let's actually talk through what he said in this video. So basically a lot of the areas that he mentioned are areas that are considered high cost of living. And in most cases, I agree with him where, even though, someone's average, which is a little bit over 100 grand, not a lot of people actually make 100 grand, even in these high cost of living areas. A lot of people on average probably would make, I'm not gonna lie, most people probably make like between 40 grand, maybe 30 grand, 50 grand. The numbers are just all over the place. A lot of the people that make like the higher bucks are usually people who are working like maybe in corporate or working and, as maybe financial analysts, engineers. There's a lot of different professions specifically where you can earn, a great deal of money. There's a lot of engineers that I know of that make easily a little bit over 200 grand, and that's just starting off, straight out of college. They're solutions engineers and people who, are the backbone of any tech software. Now, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Depending on where you live and how you utilize what you're trying to do. For example, you necessarily don't need to live in like a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom apartment when you're, for example, single. A lot of people who are single, I personally say you could actually live with a roommate. You could live in like a room. You could rent a room, which is essentially your roommate. Or you could split the bills down the middle, where you're essentially have like maybe 3 or 4 people in an apartment, and that's a-okay in my books. You can definitely do that. Or if you have the ability to, when you're younger, live with your family while you save up to like buy a home. The main thing that you need to think about is to utilize what you're earning and maximize, the amount of income you have while minimizing the amount of expenses, which seems like a no-brainer. But it takes a lot of effort to do this kind of thing. You have to really analyze your life and say like, all right, so what are my main expenses? Whether it's rent, food, utilities, my cell phone bill, all of these things are perspectives you need to give yourself first before you then have to then say, okay, how do I minimize my rent expense? How do I minimize my food budget? How do I minimize all of these things without sacrificing, a lot the lifestyle that I'm currently used to, or the lifestyle that I at least want to be where, I won't be depressed every day. These are the aspects that you need to think about and really make sure that if you're not sure of, definitely talk to someone. Meet with your close friends, people that actually care about you, and they'll be able to actually help you, guide you, at least maybe not in every aspect of your life, but at least one aspect. Because the one thing about life is that it's made up of so many components that you need to make sure of. You want to make sure that, you have a handle on each one. So let's move on to the next creator's video now. So this next creator is Sabrina Romanov. And she's actually going to talk to us about how do you use AI to create your resume and your cover letter. And she has some suggestions of some providers that we can use.
Here are 5 AI apps to help you tailor your resume to each job you apply to. And the reason this is important is because you want to make it as easy as possible for automated systems and for recruiters to take 5-second look at your resume and decide whether you're a good fit. By tailoring your resume to the specific company and job description, you have a much higher chance to get to the next round. Number 1 is called Earn Better. It offers a custom resume and cover letter building service. Number 2 is Teal at tealhq.com, and similarly, you can customize your resume to each job you're applying to. Number 3 is called Kick Resume. It's not as intuitive in my opinion as the first two. And number 4 is Resi.ai, and they have lots and lots of templates to choose from, so you can choose a template for your role. Now, the problem with those apps is that they want you to pay, so you can actually do this using ChatGPT or DeepSeek for free. In your prompts, give it the link or screenshot to the job description, upload your resume as well, and ask ChatGPT or DeepSeek to tailor your resume for that specific job description and company. I also have pre-built prompts that do this in incredible detail. Go to prompts.sabrina.dev to get those.
So let's actually talk about how AI is shaping the job market right now. So a lot of times, this is back in the old days, when you actually submitted your resume to a recruiter or to a job site, there would actually be someone who would read every single resume. So funny enough, when I actually was hiring someone for an internship role, I actually was the one who read 60 to 80 resumes for the one internship role. And then from there, I decided, all right, do I like this person? Do I like this person? What are the attributes of the resume that, I personally liked? Nowadays, there's a lot of software out there, a lot of AI software that would actually scan your resume and actually look for specific keywords that the recruiter or the hiring manager is looking for. And if your resume doesn't have that, 9 times out of 10, your resume gets tossed out, which I know sounds terrible. And it's all about the keywords. I feel like, it's kind of like you're looking at a YouTube search, right? Like now keywords are even becoming important on resumes too and cover letters. So nowadays, a lot of people are using AI to combat AI. The one thing about that though is, it sounds really silly to say this, but AI has its own flaws in the sense of, AI has certain, for example, punctuation that he uses. It has certain verbiage that he uses that instantly a lot of these AI, it's kind of like AI versus AI. It's like a battle. The AIs on the HR side or the recruiting side will know that your resume, your cover letter probably was written by AI if you just use it like fresh. Like you just say like, all right, I got my resume, bloop, I submit it. The one thing you need to understand is that AI in this world is only your starting point. So essentially you get your cover letter, you get your resume. All of these things are things that you get your base of, but that doesn't mean that it's perfect on the first batch. You need to actually look at the resume, see if it even makes sense to what the job is for, makes sense. You can't just submit things blindly, because that's something that could actually shoot yourself in the foot with. Like, you need to really understand what the resume says, does what the resume make sense, and most importantly, is what the resume is saying what you can actually do. The worst thing you can do is to overqualify yourself using AI and then make it so you can do anything, and then bam, once you get to the job, then God forbid, you actually get let go because you promised that you know how to do X, Y, Z when you only know how to do X, Y. So all these are important aspects that you need to think about before using AI blindly, and make sure you use AI, not just to your advantage, but you're using it, with strategically. That's the important aspect you need to think about when you're using AI. So let's actually move on to the next creator now. So his next creator is a creator called Josh Otusanya, and he's actually going to talk to us about, what it means to be a good friend and knowing when someone actually has your best interest in mind. So let's actually dive right into the video.
Signs someone is secretly jealous of you. Part 2. They secretly give you bad advice to limit your success. Bro, I just got a job offer offering to pay $500,000 a year, but I have to leave the US and move to Europe. You think I should take it? Nah, man. Think about it. You'll be really far away from friends and family. It's just not worth the money, man. Yeah, it's a good point, man. I'm glad I asked. Yo, you just text me on accident? Yo, Reginald just got a job offer paying $500,000 a year. So unfair. I would take that in a heartbeat.
Oh man, this yeah, so overall I'm gonna be upfront with you guys. Not every friend or family, it sounds sad to say this, will have your best interests in mind. A lot of times, friends and family will try to hold you back, not because they intentionally want to do it, but sometimes it is, but it's more like psychological, where they see themselves like, hey, they compare themselves to, let's say, to you, and they say, hey, why should he or she have the ability to do something that I am not allowed to do, or don't have the ability to do, at least not in the current moment. People always see life as a race with others, where, hey, like if X person is doing better than me, then I'm a failure. So why should I allow them to succeed while I continue to not have the things that I want in life? That's a very common thing to happen. And the worst thing you can be is someone who actually, instead of, uplifting people, you try to bring them down to your level. I don't think that's the correct thing. Sometimes in life, let's be honest with each other in this case. Sometimes in life, there are going to be people who do better than you. It's just the reality of the world. Some people have more talent than you. Some people have, overall the ability and the luck to succeed in life. That doesn't mean that you yourself need to be resentful over the success of others. What you need to focus on is focus on what you can do, the success that you want to achieve in life, and from there build on it. And if you yourself become successful, use that knowledge to help others. Maybe they won't be 100% as successful as you, but that doesn't mean that you can't use your wisdom to at least help them get them on track to have their own kind of success, where they have their own accomplishments and they themselves become fulfilled with these kinds of accomplishments. I think that's the most important aspect in life, is to really feel accomplished. Even if you yourself are not like a millionaire like other people, at least you have the ability to feel happy and enjoy your life. You have to feel genuine joy for yourself before you can actually allow yourself to, have joy for others. I think that's very important, and hopefully something that you take away with from this. Hello everyone, my name is Anthony and I'm the host of The Log Sanctuary. I hope you've been enjoying our content so far, and if you have, please feel free to like and subscribe. Also, we have our website up here, and we also have some socials down here. And as always, leave your comments down below. Let's move on to the next video. So this next creator is from Humphrey Talks, and he's going to actually talk to us about how you invest steadily in the stock market and ensure that you have some profitability in the stock market.
If you want to profit during a recession, try dollar cost averaging, and here's why it's so powerful.
So here are two different stock charts. Most of us would prefer this one because it starts at $20 per share and then it kind of gradually rises up and to the right. The second chart, on the other hand, it starts at $20 per share and then the next month it trades at 30, then 40, but then it just has a dramatic dip and crater and then it recovers at the end, yes, but this stock chart is really ugly. So let's say we want a dollar cost average $240 per month into the stock market. In this particular chart, that means you'll get 12 shares in the first month because 240 divided by 20 is 12 shares. Then in the second month, you'll get 8. Third month, you'll get 8, so on and so forth. And as you can see, the bottom x-axis here is how many shares you will get. Here's where it gets interesting. If you're investing $240 per month without emotions, aka dollar cost averaging, this chart actually works better for you because during this dip right here, you're picking up 24 shares, 24 shares, 24 shares during this dip when it's trading at $10 per share. In both of these situations, you would have invested $2,400, but look at what happens at the end. 62 shares at $60, that's what it's trading for. Your total investment is now worth $3,720. In the second scenario, you actually picked up way more shares, 142 shares, and since they're trading at $30 now, your total investment is now worth $4,260, even though this chart is way uglier.
So the point is really simple. You want to take emotions out of investing, and if you're investing for the long term, this will help you profit way more because you aren't going to be second guessing dips and buying tops when you get emotional, and I hope this helps.
Let's actually talk about this. So I am of the proponent that investing and emotion should be left out. So, the one thing that you can actually cause you to lose a lot in your investments is to bring emotion into the investment. So I'll give you an easy example. So I actually myself have gotten into the same situation myself, where I was looking for a real estate property, for my family, and I didn't really think about, hey, is this property even worth it? Is it a good long-term investment strategy? The only thing that I thought about at the time when I was buying this property was, hey, the emotional aspect where, I'll make my parents happy and, just provide something that, they're going to want in the long term. When in reality, that investment decision was driven by emotion versus driven by, the numbers. Is it going to make sense in the long term? And I actually ended up losing quite a bit of money on this investment because I just let my emotions run wild. No matter how much, how much I knew that the investment itself was not worth it, I kept pumping money into it, trying to make it work. When in reality, it just wasn't going to work. And I regret it to this day, allowing emotions to drive my investment strategy. And now I'm a little bit more keen on trying to ensure that not just for example, the one emotion that you need to think about when you're actually buying an investment or a property in this case is, do you like the area? Do you like the sense of the community? Does it make sense in that regard? I get that part. But the most important thing you need to think about when you're doing an investment strategy is it going to make you long-term gains, long-term profits? So in this case, I agree where, with stocks, for example, if you constantly are looking, like you're looking through the binoculars and you're like, oh my gosh, there was a big dip, let me sell. Or when it's higher, you're like, oh my gosh, it's getting pumped up, this is great. All of these emotions will drive you to actually sell during the wrong times and maybe even buy at the wrong times. So if you remove this whole strategy of, buying, only during certain things, like buying during the lows, selling during high, you can definitely do that. But in actuality, no one can predict the market in its entirety. You can use trends to try to predict it as best as you can, but in most cases, it's very difficult to predict. So what you can do, though, is have a steady investment, let's say $100 a month. You're constantly investing in the stock market, the S&P 500, ETS, whatever it is you want to invest in. And then if you do have a cash reserve and you're not investing in real estate like I am, you can actually, if you're really feeling it, let's say you feel like, hey, it's pretty bottomed out, the stock market's in a really good place, then you could pump it up a little. You could say all right, let me put 10 grand. I feel like it's in a pretty low point. Let me pump up to 10 grand, and then from there you can watch it go up. Hopefully, in some cases though, that's a risky strategy because it might not have that might not be the bottom. You never know. The stock market is completely unpredictable. Where even if you think that's a low, it's not the low. It might go even lower. Then you're gonna panic. So the best thing you can do is, if you feel it's in the low and you pump that money in, don't think about it afterwards. If you yourself felt in your heart that was it, you can do it. It's your money, it's your strategy, it's what you feel. However, remember what I said. Emotions, if you put emotions and investments too much, it's not going to work. It's going to make it so you're going to be constantly stressed about your investments. You're going to constantly be feeling like you're not doing the right things. And it's not something that I personally want to feel when I'm doing my investments. I want to feel joy, of course, about my investments increasing. But at the same time, I don't want to constantly be worried about my investment being like, oh, it's not gonna work out. That's not what you want. What you want with investments is to make it a great strategy for yourself and make it something that in the long run will produce results and make you feel like it was worth it. So let's move on to the next creator's video now. So this next creator is called TikTok's _older_ brother. And he's actually going to talk to us about the go home strategy for when you go to work. So, you know, a lot of us when we were in school, we actually were part of the go home club. So maybe when you go to work, you become part of the go home club to actually, you know, save a little dollar here and there. So let's see what he has to say.
Someone on here that says that you need to not go home straight from work. You need to do something else. You need to find a third place. You know, it'll get depressing if you go home straight from work. Nah, go home, especially if no one's there. Go home and be in peace. If you go home and stay there, not every day, but often, even if you're in New York City, you'll still be plenty satisfied, I'm telling you. If 6:30 rolls around and you're like, what do I do for dinner? Oh no, where do I go from here? There's an endless amount of possibilities. It might stress you out sometimes, but it really shouldn't. You have so many choices. When you have kids, if you don't know a plan for dinner by like 2:30, 3 o'clock, everything gets fucked. The whole schedule gets messed up. So after work, go home. Go home, take your work clothes off, put your bag down, look at your phone a bit, read, light a candle, and enjoy yourself. And maybe order in, because it's fun.
So, to be honest, I am part of this same club, the Go Home Club, whether it was in school or when I'm at work. And the reason for that is because I did during my early 20s, I did, try the strategy of like having like a third place to go to, which I would go out with my friends, maybe we'd go out to eat. And a lot of the things, I got that kind of out of my systems in my early 20s. Because then I realized that, going home may seem like a place where like, oh my gosh, I'm such a loser. Why am I going home? When in reality, what you really need to think about is, home is a place where you're kind of already paying for that space, right? Like, you're either paying rent or you're paying a mortgage, but you're not really utilizing it. If you decide to like then go out and just constantly go out to eat, it's weird. You want to escape from your home and your work, which is your third place, when in reality, your home is not something to be afraid of. Your home is a place where, for example, like maybe if you're like me, you maybe can play video games. You can watch your favorite shows. You can cook some dinner if that's something you want to do. You can eat out. Home is a place for you to reflect on the day and really understand, hey, what do I do from here? What are my worries? What are my anxieties? Write those down and really understand, home is a safe space and probably one of your only safe spaces in the world where you can be yourself. You can really enjoy what, your own self, and really understand that home is the aspect of yourself. The home is where you build for yourself and the aspect that you control. So, it's not that you don't want to go out of your home. Hey, sometimes you want to take a vacation. Sometimes you want to go out with friends. It's okay to do that. It's perfectly okay to do that. But treating your home as like something like a prison or anything like that, or a place that you don't want to go back to, I don't think you should do that. Because your home, you guys have probably heard the phrase, home is where the heart is. It's where you can be yourself. You can truly, kind of like let loose a little, grab a drink, do whatever you want. It's all about the aspects. Your home is how you want it to be, what the environment you create for yourself. So, and plus you'll save some money too if you drink at home, for example, versus drinking at a bar, if that's your thing. Overall, treating your home as a safe space is important, and really establishing that connection with your home I think that's one of the most precious things you can think of. Especially when you do have a family, all of these aspects will be true to yourself and will make it so, you're actually happy in your life and you feel fulfilled. So, with that, and with that, that is, us reacting to TikTok's episode 17. I hope everyone out there has a blessed day, and adios, everyone. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing an amazing job, and I'm wishing everyone out there all the best. All right, until next time, adios.